Hello, hello. Okay, so the defendant for the case is going to the case with his attorney. So because of that, the court would want to go on a 1 hour recess and reconvene at 6:19.
All right, so we are done with the first three cases of the court hearing. It began somewhere around 12:59, where we saw the case one, case two, and then case three. Well, as some of you may know, there are actually four cases that are going to be here in court today. So the first one was a petition by Mesu Washington on congestion against the SRC Court of Justice. And the first case was dismissed as having no merit by the Court of Justices when they decided on the case. And the second suit was by Cosmos Bunyo, who was challenging the credibility of the voting software. And the third one was the petition by Moro Isaku to nullify the results of the election. And the last one is a suit against the electoral commissioner by Emmanuel Kabnobatin. So basically, these are the four cases that are going to be presented in court today. But then, first of all, I mean, we both came here around the same time. But then, would you say students' interest, like people are really interested in this? Because it got to a point we have as many as 50 people on the live stream watching the whole event.
Yeah, I think this hearing is one thing that a lot of students have shown interest in. People really want to know what is going on and what goes on into the electoral process as a whole. So I came here quite, I think, a bit after 12, and there were a lot of students around. So I'm sure people are interested in the issue.
Yeah, it is a lot. So we are going to look at the cases one by one, those that has been discussed first. So the first case we have here, the Court of Justices, in their verdict, dismissed the first case as having no merit. So that was where you had a bit of challenge with understanding what they were trying to say. So if you could explain what they were trying to mean.
Okay, so like we all say, we're all watching it. We don't really have the legal understanding of the whole issue. The justices are the people to, or they are in the best position to really describe the thing. But with the little that I understood from the whole issue, the dismissal of no merit was in some form that there was a contempt in the petition that was given, in the sense that they felt some way, somehow insultive. So yeah, that's the little I can. So they see it as a petition of no merit. That was how come the distance was dismissed.
Yeah, so basically the first case was very fast. It didn't take much long. They just dismissed it within a matter of seconds. Then we move on to the second case, which was this was a suit challenging the credibility of the voting software. Now, when it comes to this case, there was so many issues popping up. I mean, the panel, the justices were saying that in order for you to bring a suit, it should be an entity, an organization, or somebody. But then here lies the case that they were challenging the voting software. Now, the voting software is not a person, it's not a system. So it's either you are challenging the developer of the software or the one who used the software. Maybe the person delivered the software well, but then in you using the software there was a bit of challenge. So in that case there was so many back and forth. What did you make of it?
Okay, so the second case, like you rightly said, that the Court of Justice asked petitioner to rewrite the case. According to them, the suit has no defendant. So with what went on through the section, there was a question that asked that what makes up a suit. And we learned that in a suit, we must have a defendant and then a respondent. Yes, so like you rightly said, they were suing the voting system, and so there wasn't a defendant as at that time. So they were given the chance to go and come back. I'm sure by the time we resume, we'll have something to say.
But then you notice many people were talking about it. They were saying that they should allow them to present their case because in as much as the voting system is not a software, they are saying that or they are challenging the credibility of the software. It makes me think that so about the voting software, is it the fault of the EC or the fault of those who developed the software? Because this was developed by the school's IT personnel. It wasn't developed by the software. So it's something that's been there for quite a long time. So if you are challenging the credibility, I mean, they were asked to present or they were asked that who are they supposed to or who's supposed to respond to it. So that was where the problem is. So that was where the problem came from as to who is going to go. But if you are suing the voting software, like it's not really a person that you can just say that oh I'm suing you, but they're challenging the credibility. So that was a bit of problem. I think they asked them to go and sit down and then rewrite it. So I don't know if that hearing is going to be here today or it's going to be somewhere else. But then basically that was the second suit. Then the third suit was actually what was keeping us for quite a long time. We've been here for almost an hour, or we spent almost an hour on the third suit. That was a petition by Moro to nullify the SRC elections. That was recently. I think this is the biggest. This is one of the biggest suits among all the four cases. So he's calling that they nullify the results of. all the elections we've done so far. I mean, this is about 1 week more to examination. That is if the examination will come on. But assuming it will come on, or let's say it's coming on, this is 1 week to exam, and you are asking the Court of Justice to dismiss or to nullify the results of the election, asking students to vote again. But then, personally, would you vote again, or do you think people will vote again if they are asked to revote?
Okay, personally, I would say students have anticipated so much about this whole thing, and then students put in much effort into voting. So, personally, I don't think the voting turnout will be as massive as it has been already. But whatever the court decides is it's what is right, and that's why we are urging us all to follow UHAS based TV to know whatever goes into this. And please, let's continue to watch this and subscribe to the channel as well. I'm sure by the time you resume, everything will be placed in the right place.
Oh, yeah, it is. There's been a lot of issues, so many comments. I'll try to see if I can get some. But then as the live was going, I was monitoring some comments, and people were actually questioning how the court system is working. So a couple of comments on the YouTube. So people are saying that when you go to the court of justice, it is the duty of the lawyers to present their case before the judges, and it's up to the judges to sit and decide. But here lies this case: the judges are now the ones questioning or making the questions. I mean, that is what people are saying. That there should be the lawyers that are supposed to present the case to them. That's supposed to be arguing the points, and then the justices to sit behind the panel and then listen to what they are saying, and then be able to make a decision. So some people are saying, or if you read the comments, some people are saying that they are actually being biased. Yes, I'm trying to see if I can get some of the comments seen. But then basically that is what people are saying. Now, another thing to remember is that we live in an evidence based court. So before you can't just come and say, like the Chief Justice said, this is not an assumption court. Before you say something, you have to provide evidence to it. You have to prove that there's something has been done. Either a video evidence, an audio evidence, or the person will come physically and then mount the witness box and then begin to talk the case. But then, yes. So trying to get some of the comments to see if I can find some of them to read out to you. But then yes, so that is what people are saying. But actually, we have 6 justices that are sitting on the case, and then we're questioning all most of the petitioners. We question the petitioners to actually get into the real issue. So how would you say? Would you say the judges were, from your perspective, whether they were lenient or they were cool or they were straight to the point? I mean, in as much as they're students, I personally thought that they were very, very professional. I mean, to some extent.
Okay, so personally, I would say that this is something I've learned personally about court hearing, that before we would even come up to petition or make a suit or something, we should first of all know certain basic things. Because I mean, maybe they might have evidence, maybe they might have a case, but petty things weren't like didn't give them the right ways to go. I think on my part, the judges did their best. They did the right thing.
All right, so it's currently 5:31. In about 6:19, the panel would the justices would come back and then continue with the hearing of the fourth case. Now, the fourth case, I think that is where everyone is putting so much attention to. That is the suit against the electoral commissioner. Now, this is something that happens basically in January, where the one party in Ghana sued the issue or the petition that brought the issue before court. So that sounds like an exact replica happening whereby they are suing the electoral commissioner. Now, I think this one is more of the fact about the resignation of the vice presidential candidate for Tim Sunnydays. You've heard about it. Yes. So this is basically what everyone is interested in to see what will be the outcome of this because should they sit on it, there's going to be so many allegations. There have been so many things about it, some which may be true or some which may not be true. But then, are you anticipating for something more interesting, like, or what do you expect to be the turnout for this one?
Personally, I'm really anticipating so much. We are all students in the first place. We are all here as students to know what is right. So, what I will encourage us all is to follow this issue and not be political about everything that is going on. we should be able to know what is right and just do the right thing. So I'm really anticipating that.
Yeah, so many people are anticipating for that. This as I was saying, this is the case number 4, which is the biggest one, a suit against the EC. I'll try to see if I can get the petition that was sent behind, but then from what I can remember, or from what showing the entire general public that the vice presidential candidate for Team Sunny Days had resigned. So many people were speculating that since he has resigned, Sunny Days should no longer qualify for the election. But then he was on the voting, people could vote for him on that day. And then all of a sudden, there was a petition to the Chief Justice about that whole issue because people are saying that if I'm going with you for a position, it's together. So if you step down, that means that we are a team. So I can no longer go. So that's what people are trying to say. So that he should step down so that there will not be only 4 people.
Okay, so personally with that, I don't really know what the constitution says. Yeah, so that's why we are all here. We should all learn. If the case comes to court, whatever goes on, we'll all know. Yeah, so personally with that, I have little to say about that.
Yeah, so basically that is it. So there are 4 cases to be heard today, and we have done 3 cases, with the last one being scheduled to begin at exactly 6:19. So generally, the tension here, it's been off and on. Things will come and rise. People have been asked to go out. Some will come again. But then it was actually quite interesting because you learn a lot of stuff. People will ask me, some of my friends ask me that where is the SRC? Because like they don't believe that there is a court or there is a parliament. And I tell them that they are certain, and I'm saying it again, there are certain institutions that are there that you don't see them, but then they actually exist, just like certain laws. You'll be there and think that there are no laws, but then when you break it, you'll be caught. So this is the court of justice, and then they are trying to imitate a real court so they get to see and learn so many things. For me to have learned that in order to present a suit against someone, it has to be a person, an organization, a teacher. You can't just say you're suing something. It has to be something, an entity. So what did you also make?
So I like you said, it has to be a body, a person, or an organization. And I also learned that for a suit to be a suit, you need a respondent and a defendant as well. So yes, I think the petty things that maybe we sometimes ignore, how to write a petition, our choice of words and all that. I think we should all learn. And then the next time when we want to say or appeal or petition to the court, we'll use the right words and then the appropriate means.
Yeah, so during the live, I screenshotted some of the comments. So I'm going to read a couple of them. So we have one here. I don't know if I should mention the name. It's not necessary. Or yes. So the first one is a software programmer to be blamed or those working with him? Perhaps we have great hackers who bypass the security hole. And this is legit a genuine question because if you are saying now there are three things here, the person is asking 3 questions. Is it the software that is to be blamed, or those working with the software, or somebody hacked into the system? So these are 3 different points relating to the credibility of the voting system. Then there's this one that also says that do petitioners have legal counsel or like a lawyer? I don't really understand why the jury is the one doing a cross examination. That's a lawyer's job. The judges listen and decide. Basically, that is the comment I was saying, where somebody was saying that the justices are not supposed to interfere. Then we have finally another one that says that exactly my concern. They are forced to pick a stance that can affect the verdict. They need to have people to argue out so that the judges assess from a neutral stance. So that is what people are saying, that the justices are not supposed to interfere in all this. But then personally, I don't know how this court system works. The SRC is something that is quite different. It's not some they have their own, they have a constitution back in there. And from this comment,
They are saying some way somehow is true. It's supposed to be the lead petitioner submitting whatever they have on table for the justice to listen. But I think there are little aspects they also didn't do well with the fact that there were some ups and down about how they write their petition, and then so I think it's something we've all learned. If we are coming to the court of justice, we should know what we are bringing.
yeah. So basically, that is it. It's almost the court will be back around 6:19. So that's about I would say about 25 or 30 minutes from now. So we're going to keep you company. I think very soon one of the former chief justices will be joining us to have a discussion.
I think
But then, should the justices say that there's going to be a re-election, do you think people are going to be interested, or just say have exams so forget about it, so we're going to have a low turnout? Because I think people are going to Charlie, we have exams, so I don't have time to this voting and all those stuff. Already this court case, people are saying that, and why they extend it, because the election in the first place has been extended for a long time. Per the constitution, you're supposed to be voting somewhere in the seventh week, and look at the time we are now voting. So you think the interest will still be there?
like I said earlier on, if we really go for a new election system or something, I don't think the interest will be there. Yeah, personally, I don't think so.
People will not really be interested because you're coming to yes, you're coming.
Like
Yeah,
already it was postponed and now brought back again, and then now, so I don't think the interest will be there.
that's the same thing. If this court hearing is adjourned again, like not that not I'm not speaking like so somebody will say that what I told is this SRC election and they keep on postponing over and over and over and over again.
Oh, but regardless, there will still be people that will be very interested in this issue, and no matter the number of times they postpone the election, they will still be ready to vote. That one day, because people have interest in XRC elections. Ever since I came to school, I realized that elections is one trend that students really follow. Like when it comes to issues about elections, everybody wants to know. So let's just let's just know what happens and hope for the best.
Now here is basically almost people are saying every year court. Last year something similar happened when the current president Apollo won the election. It was taken to court. Some years back, it actually went to a superior court than this. It went to a whole high court where the person from US who won against the SRC. So it's like there is a trend going that every year court. So you can't really pinpoint what the problem is. Is it that they are challenging how the voting went, or they don't? People have the difficulty in accepting defeat. So that's when they begin to challenge. Because yes, honestly, some people cannot just accept defeat like that. Like they need to be like to make sure that like yes, I really lost. Because if there is a small chance that there was a fraud or something there, they're really going to pass through that hole and make sure they get something.
Okay, like you're saying, the sequence has been there. Personally, I think everyone has a right. They have every right to question whatever goes on. So if anyone doesn't understand anything for whichever reason, that's why we have the court of justice. It's a right thing to do. I mean, it's not something that is going to end. It will keep coming. Or like you're saying, that sometimes it's hard to accept defeat. So whenever there are some loopholes, you just really want to make sure that okay, this didn't cost me or that. So for that, it's something I'm sure will happen in the subsequent times.
What would you say the SRC court is tired? I mean, like, imagine if we don't change the justices every year. They are maintained for 4 years, and every year they keep coming here in court cases. Does that mean that there's actually a problem with the whole voting system, like from your assessment? Because I'm thinking that if every year people are challenging it, then they should really look into why. Maybe there's a problem with the system used or the method of voting. Because here in US, the constitution backs the online system. It's in their constitution that it is online. They said they've tested it, they've weighed the benefits and the risks, and they go with it that yes, the online system is okay. But then you had one of the persons saying that they want a ballot system. We'll come to the ballot system aside. But then first, let's just look at it. Do you say that there is actually a real problem with the election system, considering the fact that over the years we've been having cases in court?
So personally, I would say everything has its disadvantages and its advantages. So definitely, no matter the approach we use, definitely there will be some aspects that wouldn't be so pleasing to the other parties or something. But I believe that it shouldn't be so much that it will cause a problem. That's what I think. So, like they are saying, although this there have been like people or aspirants have been going to court about declared election or something. But I mean, it's been the online system they've been using all this well or for some time now. So that means that despite the fact that there have been loopholes here and there, the system will still be used, and at the long run, when sent to court, maybe the people get to understand themselves and know that okay, this is it. But to the extent that it will be so much or it will be a lot of, I don't know for the subsequent ones, but I don't think that the petitions or the suits were this many. This the time we are having our four cases here. So that means it should tell us to really look into what is going on and learn from it as students. I think this is something that students should really follow, learn, and know what is to be done. That's what personally I think.
So now let's go to the issue of balloting. You walk to the polls and then you tamper it and then you vote. This is 2021. Everything is becoming more technologicalized. I mean, Ghana or many countries in the world, even though have advanced technology, they still do. They still go and then ballot. They still go and then do post balloting. So people are saying, why won't you has considered that system? Because at KNUST have an online system, though, but yes, it's a bit different. They still have polling stations where you go and then vote. But then Legon as a big university also holds balloting. They do ballot voting. So people are calling for the balloting system here. That also comes with so many issues and other stuff. But then would you prefer we have something like balloting?
I mean, personally, since I came to you, has only been the online system you've been using. So personally, I think we should also try the balloting system and see what goes into it and see how the whole thing will turn up. I mean, people really believe in the balloting system, but I also feel that it might also have its loopholes here and there. So I think it can be a good idea to also try the balloting system and also know what it has.
But then balloting, not everyone will be willing to leave their house. Imagine